Finding out. I found out last night that my wife cheated on me with a guy from school. It all started when she came home from school one day telling me about a friend that she made in her math class. She has always had guy friends and I wasn't always comfortable with it, but I tried to be understanding. About a month and a half ago she went out to the bar with this guy after class for some drinks and she didn't come home till 3:15 a.m. When she got home, she was drunk and clothes were out of whack. I asked why she was home so late and why I couldn't get a hold of her for 2 hours. She told me she just got caught up talking with people at the bar and that her phone died. I was extremely upset, but I got over it. I questioned her the next day why her bra was not actually fastened all the way when she came home, and she told me it was old and the clasp was broken and it popped when she bent down to pick up the keys she had dropped. About a week or two later she was supposed to meet a female friend at the bar, and this guy ended up showing up and hung out with them all night until her friend left. Instead of leaving the same time as her friend, she stayed another 20 minutes with him. When I noticed that her friend had come home, I wondered where she was. She told me she was waiting to cash out. When she got home, she said she lost her phone. I did the iPhone tracker and it was in this guy's truck at his house. That's when I knew he was there with her and that for some reason she was in his truck. I started to accuse her of cheating and she became furious with me, asking why I didn't trust her. We had fought on and off for about 3 weeks. She convinced me that I needed to see a doctor for the way I was acting, so I did. I told them how I was feeling and the thoughts that were running through my head and that I didn't feel it was fair to my wife what I was doing. They diagnosed me with depression, anxiety disease and put me on medication. It worked for a while, but I was still suspicious of something going on. She fought me tooth to nail when I asked her to break off contact with this guy, and I finally gave in and allowed her to keep talking to him. One day I slipped a voice recorder in the car she took to school last week and I recorded a conversation between him and her. She was trying to convince him to come over and meet me so I could become friends with him and allow her to continue to hang out with him without me giving her crap for it. She offered herself to him, let him eat her out, and even give him a good time if he would just agree to come over and meet me. After hearing the recording, I confronted her with it and she said it was all just joking around. I decided to go talk to this guy to get the real story. At first, I was outraged at him and said some pretty bad things. All he could say was sorry, but he wasn't the only person involved. A day or two later I received a call from the guy she was cheating on me with. He apologized again and told me that he knows I'm a good guy and I don't deserve this. He told me that the night they were at the bar till 3:15 a.m. she was in his truck and did a lot of terrible things. They were going for the final move, but she couldn't do it. I confronted her about everything and she said he was lying, and then she left for about 15 minutes and I finally got the truth out of her. We have 2 boys together in a house and I can't stand to be around her. She said everything happened because I wasn't giving her enough attention because I was working so much. We had been having problems making ends meet, so I took side jobs working on cars in my garage after my normal 8-hour workday and when I wasn't in class. I just can't get over the fact that my wife of 5 years convinced me that I was the one that was messed up for thinking she would ever cheat on me. Now I'm lost on what to do. We were supposed to start seeing a counselor to work on our issues before I found out about everything that really happened. Now I can't even look at her without picturing her doing these terrible things. I thought she only did it with me. I hate to put my boys through all this, but I don't think I will ever be able to look at her or love her the same way. What should I do? It's been a busy morning already. She will not leave me alone. She keeps wanting me to not leave her and she says she is willing to do whatever it takes to make things work between us. I, on the other hand, know myself and know I will never be able to look at her the same way. What she did was just pure evil. This morning after I got to work, she sent me a text saying, "Duck this life. I don't deserve to live." I got really worried because she is at home with my kids, so I sent the neighbor over to check up on her, but she was fine, just sitting on the couch crying. I turned the tracker off on my iPhone and she accused me of doing it so I could get revenge by having a good time with another girl without her knowing it. I told her that unlike her, bonding is something special to me that I don't just give out like candy or use to fill some void in my life. So even after everything she did, she doesn't want me doing anything. We were supposed to go out of town for the weekend, the first time in 3 years without the kids. But that's shot and she's upset that I'm not willing to use that time to work things out. I think it is way too soon for something like that. It's been a rough couple of days. I have been trying to keep my distance and not talk to her. Yesterday we had a doctor's appointment together that we set up a few weeks ago. We have the same doctor, but she agreed to see us separately. The doctor saw me first and asked how I was doing on the antidepressants she prescribed me 3 weeks ago. I told her I was starting to feel better and the horrible thoughts I was having started to go away, but then the thoughts I was having turned out to be true. She was shocked and I told her that I felt I only started the medication because I didn't like feeling that I was making something out of nothing and it wasn't fair to my wife. I also asked if I should stop taking it because I felt I didn't need to mask things anymore. She told me that stopping now would probably be the worst thing to do and she actually upped my dosage. She then went to see my wife, and after my wife was done, we went back home and she was crying and told me that the doctor recommended that she check herself into a hospital for treatment because of some thoughts she was having. She also prescribed her ability to control her mood. So now she is on antidepressants, ability, and needs to be checked into a hospital, and she says my kids while I'm at work. Today we had some time to talk and she told me that she has felt neglected by me for years and the way she dealt with it was completely wrong. I admit that I have not always been the most romantic person for her, but I thought I did what I could to show her how much I loved her. For a period after my first son was born, we were bonding for months. I got into a bad habit of looking at online sites and she found out. She brought that up today and said it hurt just as much as how she hurt me. But she didn't leave and she tried to make things work. There was also one time during a heated argument a year or so ago that I told her that I would rather work in the garage than spend time with her. I only said that because I'm an active person. I don't watch much TV or sit around. I have very bad ADHD that doesn't allow me to focus on something I don't find interesting. All she ever wanted to do was sit and watch movies or TV. She always complained that I was in the garage too much, but when I did spend time with her, we didn't really have much to talk about, or she was more interested in playing and texting on her phone. Her idea of quality time with me for a whole week was playing draw something with me while we laid in bed. She also said that she only noticed me finally becoming the husband she wanted after I started suspecting things were going on because I was around her more. I was only around her more because I wanted to make sure she wasn't talking to this guy all the time, and if they did talk, I wanted to know what they were talking about because I knew there was more going on than she was telling me. I told her that she didn't have to stay with me if I was such a terrible husband. I tried to do the best I could for us, but apparently it wasn't enough. I'm going on this trip with her this weekend, but only so we can talk, fight, or whatever with no one else around because I can't do this in front of my kids anymore. Did I bring this upon myself? Was my neglect the reason she found herself craving the attention of another man? She told me that he would compliment her all the time and talk to her when she was lonely, but then she said that the guy didn't tell me all the dirty things he would say to her because he wanted to come out looking like the good guy. I told her that she should have broken off contact with this guy as soon as anything like that started, not continue it and allow it to go where it did. This guy may have been complimenting my wife and showing her a lot of attention, but why do you think that was? Not because he loved her, but because he was trying to get to her. And it worked. She did finally come out and tell her mom. We couldn't do it in person because they live far away. She told her that we have a very difficult time, that she messed things up very badly, and that she is on more medication, and that the doctor suggested checking herself in for her hurtful thoughts. She didn't, however, get into the actual details as to what she did. I decided to call her mom this morning to find out if she did actually talk to her, and she confirmed it. I asked what she knew and she responded with the same information. I told her that she will never understand the severity of the situation, but she said she doesn't want to hear any of the details on what happened because she doesn't know if she could handle it. I just told her that it was bad enough that I couldn't even look at her anymore. She was very upset and tried to give me some advice on staying together and working things out. At least she knows now. Her best friend across the street knows because her husband is one of my best friends, and one day before all the really bad details came out, I told my friend about a kiss another man shared, which he then relayed to his wife. We went to their house for a bonfire, and at some point, when I walked away, his wife yelled at my wife with, "What the duck is wrong with you?" My best friend's wife was pissed because she was the one that was out with my wife when the other man showed up at the bar. Apparently, my wife had asked her after meeting OM to tell me that other man was a good guy and that I had nothing to worry about. I asked her why, if she knew that day that she made a huge mistake, why she wasn't on the phone the next day looking for a counselor, but instead on the phone with him, probably talking about the fun they had. She told me that she thought I would get suspicious if all of a sudden she wanted to see a counselor and she stopped talking to other men. So instead, she continued to talk to him, allowed fights between us to develop because of him, and most likely continue the physical acts between them until the day I found out. I also don't think it would have stopped if I didn't find out. I may have been at fault for some of our issues, but what she did was plain evil. Now I'm getting mind ducked by her to make me out to be the one that drove her to what she did. I already had slept with her after the first act had already happened before I knew about it, because the first act was a month and a half ago. And I kissed her I don't know how many times. Ugh, I feel sick just thinking about it. I plan to get myself tested for sure because I have a rare blood type and I donate regularly, and it's something I get a lot of joy out of doing, and I would hate to not be able to do that anymore. The trip we have planned is actually so she can attend her sister's wedding shower. How messed up is that? So, she has to go. I plan on just dropping her off and taking the car for some alone time away from home. The kids will be with my mom, so they are taken care of. She has told me in the past that she has felt neglected by me, and I have tried to make things better, but with work and side work and both of us going to school plus 2 kids and now babysitter till recently, we never had time from us to really focus on each other. I know I could have probably done more, but I never thought it would cause her to do this. Weekend update. So, we went on this weekend overnight trip. We dropped off the boys at my mom's house and hit the road. I was pretty much silent the entire 2-hour drive. She had been acting really nice because I had been in such a good mood the day before. What she didn't know was I was about to drop the D-bomb. We got to our hotel, sat down for a drink, and I acted like nothing was wrong, joking around with the waitstaff and holding a conversation. We then decided to go swimming. I was in the hot tub with her, but I didn't talk or look at her. She got out and went to the pool. Then we decided to head up to the room and get ready for dinner. I wasn't planning on dropping the bomb until the drive home, but I couldn't wait. While she was getting ready, I told her we needed to talk. I came out about everything and about how it was crap she was putting the blame on me for her cheating. She told me that she never blamed me for her cheating. She takes 100% responsibility for her actions. She only said the anger that was inside of her that contributed to her actions was because of the problems between us. That, combined with alcohol and the reaction it had with the medication she was on, caused her to not know what she was doing, and she lost control. I told her that I couldn't work on this with her after all the sick and twisted stuff she did to make me out to be the bad guy. She said she knew what she did was wrong and she is willing to do whatever it takes to make it up to me and fix our family. I then got upset and said, you should have thought of that before you did anything. You didn't want to fix things until you got caught because you wanted it to continue. That's why you wanted him to come over and be my friend, to make it easier to continue your affair. She then said she only wanted him to come over so that he would see us together and maybe he would stop because she didn't know how to make it stop. I asked why she even continued to be friends with him after what happened. She said it wasn't always physical and he was a good friend. He paid her compliments and took an interest in her. I said, do you really think any of what he said to you was genuine? That he said those things because he loved you and wanted to raise a family with you? He said those things to get in your pants, and it worked. After all, you were talking to him about how I work in the garage all the time and you're lonely. You gave him the ammo, so why wouldn't he say those things? He knew that what you wanted. I then said I couldn't stay with her, and she asked why I even came on the trip. Was it to keep an eye on her or to divorce her before her sister's shower? I told her I wanted to give her one last night as a married couple. She started to cry, begging me not to leave her. I just walked out of the room and said I don't deserve this and I'm gone. I walked to the closest bar, sat down and had a Coke. While sitting there, she calls me and starts yelling at me for taking the car keys and the only room key. I told her get another room key from the front desk, and neither of us were driving, so I took the keys. She ended up walking to a nearby restaurant. She was texting me asking me to please just give her a chance to fix things. She wants to fix herself, and without me there is no purpose. I told her that maybe that was her problem. I can't be the only purpose in your life. I have purpose in life no matter who I'm with. That's why when I don't give you my absolute attention you get lonely. Because you have nothing else. I can't fix that, and no matter how much attention I give you it will never be enough. She then begged me to just try counseling with her. I agreed and said I make no promises, that a divorce is not out of the question and there would need to be some huge lifestyle changes. We ate dinner, talked, and then we drove to a bar to play some pool. The entire time I was looking at her and it wasn't the same. I wasn't looking at the same girl. I started to shut down again and I got quiet. I kept picturing her with the other man and it was making me sick. She could see I wasn't doing well and asked if I wanted to leave. I told her yes, but let's just find a place to sit close to the hotel so we can walk back. We sat down and had a drink and went back to the room. She started going for bed and I lost it. I just pictured prepare for this other man and I began to cry uncontrollably. She tried to calm me down and kept saying we'll get through this, it's just going to take time. I then yelled I will never get over this. I will never forget the fact that another man had his way with my wife. You are tainted and nothing will fix that. I then left the room and walked to the beach where I sat and watched the waves for about an hour. I returned to the room and finally forced myself to go to sleep. The next day I was completely silent except for yes and no answers. We checked out and had about 3 hours to kill before she had to be at the shower. She asked if I meant what I said about trying to work it out and I said no. She begins to cry and doesn't stop for the rest of the time we are talking. She then tells me that she lost something that led her to choose the wrong path. She lost her faith in God. She had always tried to attend church every Sunday before she was put on her medication, but once she started taking it, she stopped going. She said she turned her back on God and she made some very bad decisions because of it. She asked what lifestyle changes she would need to make to fix things and make me feel comfortable giving her a chance. I told her absolutely no guy friends, past, present, or future. No more bars unless I am with you. I have full access to all online accounts and her phone. If I compare the text messages with the phone bill each month, they better add up and you're not deleting texts. No more drinking while on medication. No more toxic friends. You go to school and you come right home. The tracker on your phone will always be on. I told her if I was to work on things with her and any of those rules were broken, then it's over. I then told her that it doesn't matter because I was going to leave her anyways. I dropped her off at the shower and went for a long drive. When I picked her up, she was pretty quiet for a half hour and then she asked if we could just try being separated while we work on things. I told her I don't think so. She begged and cried for hours trying to get me to not leave her. She said she has hit rock bottom. I said no, you haven't. Not yet. She responded with yes, I have. I'm losing everything. My best friend, my children, and everything that I have. I told her I would still go to see this counselor if she came completely clean about everything that happened. She agreed and she told me about the night with OM. She said they had kissed before anything happened. Then she got in his truck and he became very aggressive. As soon as he tried for more, she pushed him out saying she couldn't do that. So, he got upset and said that's bull crap. What am I supposed to do now? She said I guess you're crap out of luck. She realized what she was doing was wrong, got dressed and went home. She said she couldn't ever tell me what happened because it was her mistake and she just tried to forget it ever happened. I asked her if she didn't want it to happen, then why did you offer it again if he would just come over? She said it was only to persuade him to come over because OM was so afraid that I would ex him that he would never come over because he didn't know how much she had told me about what went on between them. So, the offer of physical favors was the only way she knew he would come over. We got back to my mom's and picked up the kids. It was the happiest I had been all weekends. That put me into a better mood. After they went to bed, the wife and I were getting along okay and we watched a movie. When it was time for bed, I laid there so confused. I enjoyed spending time with her as long as I could keep the bad thoughts away, but when the thoughts did come up, they were so bad I wanted to throw up. I got up this morning and she hugged me goodbye and told me she loves me. I responded with okay and left for work. On my way to work she called me and said, I know you can't say it, but I wanted to let you know that I love you. I said okay again and she asked what's wrong. I told her that I'm not there yet to say the same. I told her that I'm so confused and lost. I'm also upset with myself because I was so upset yesterday morning and afternoon and I felt firm on my decision, but I feel like she tricked me into going to a counselor and not just divorcing her. I don't know what I am doing. I don't want my kids to go through this and I can't imagine what life would be like. On the other hand, do I want to live a life where I have no trust in my wife and every time I am wondering if she's getting what she needs from me or God to not cheat again? I just want to sleep for a year so I don't have to think about this for a while. I know I feel like I'm losing control and I'm letting my guard down. She has gotten so good at twisting things around and putting a different view on things that I don't know which way is up. I don't know what to do. I want to run and just put it all behind me, but I don't know if I'm strong enough. On the other hand, I know I'm not strong enough to live with this. I am trying to get other man to talk to me again to see how her story compares to his. So far, he has been the most honest with me and seems to remember more than my wife does since she was out of it. It's so sad that I respect other man more than my own wife because he has been so open with information. I don't feel that what he is feeding me are lies because he has been having a hard time even answering the questions I ask, and he even apologizes every time. He also told me the last time how much my wife talks about me and how I am her best friend and loves me very much. Of course, that didn't stop either of them from continuing to do what they were doing. I'm planning on getting tested soon for any STDs. God, I can't believe I have to go through this. I'm also leaving tomorrow night for an overnight work trip that should help. I feel I can think more clearly when I'm not around her because I don't have her right in my face feeding me the things she thinks I need to hear. Even when I'm at work and school I feel less tense and guarded. I have talked to an attorney to get things in motion for a divorce just in case, also asked about obtaining her text messages for the last 2 months for further evidence of her infidelity. I just want to make sure if I do go through with a D that the kids are safe with me. I am still monitoring all lines of communication. I even asked the babysitter to let me know what time she gets home from school tomorrow. I talked to my attorney today and he asked me to come in to get things lined up to get a copy of her text messages for the last 2 months. Right now, I'm just getting things in line for a D. This way I have the VAR evidence and the conversation from the day after the act happened and on to show there was no attempt to cut things off until she got caught. Last night I made her swear on the Bible and I asked her a series of questions that I have asked her in the past. I found out some other things that I did not know before. After she gave her answers, I told her that I was going to set up an appointment for a polygraph test and I was going to have them ask the same series of questions, and I will match her answers that she gave me to the ones on the poly test, and if any of them don't match up then I'm gone. No questions asked. I then asked her if she would like to change any of her answers now before I send them to the poly people, and she said no. She then ran to the bathroom and threw up for about 5 minutes. She has been a complete wreck the last few days, but I have not given in. She has tried to get intimate with me, but I told her I am nowhere even close to doing anything like that. Just a little update. Wife is going in today for her first round of counseling on her own before we go see the counselor together. I, on the other hand, am going to see a lawyer to discuss my plan of action. I was on a small overnight work trip yesterday with another coworker. When we got in, we decided to stop somewhere for a quick beer or two. We started talking about our families, and he was telling me how his wife was a teacher and all the good she is doing in the schools, and when it came time for me to talk about my wife, I couldn't think of anything nice to say. The first thing that came to my mind was my wife goes to bars and chills with guys in the parking lot and then justifies it with she was drunk and didn't know what she was doing. While sitting in the airport, I was watching families walk by and I thought to myself, I wonder if his wife has cheated on him. They looked so happy. When I got home, my wife was cooking an amazing dinner for the two of us. She had the boys dressed for bed and she was all cleaned up and dressed nice for me. All I could do was sit on the couch and just hold my kids tight until it was their bedtime. We ate and she asked me what was wrong, and I told her how the topic of our wives came up with my coworker, and when it came time for me to talk about her, I couldn't think of anything nice to say, so I didn't say anything. The look on her face was of pure shame, and she got up and went outside to have a smoke. When she came back in, we didn't really say much more to each other the rest of the night. This morning she sent me a text when I was at work that said, "I know you're angry and hurt and don't want to talk to me, but I had to tell you I love you and remind you that I'll make it all up to you. I promise." I'm facing this appointment with fear and excitement. Fear of facing realities and pain, but excitement to get myself worked out in the future to be better for you. I only responded with okay. I didn't know what else to say. A month later, we have been to one counseling session together and we each went separately one time. Tomorrow is her second individual session while mine is next week. I don't really feel they are helping with the infidelity as much as it's helping me understand why I kept myself so busy, not only just to provide for my family but also for my hobbies. It's true, when I had free time, I could have spent with my wife. I didn't. I lived at home with my parents till I was 25 or 26 years old. I had a very different life growing up than most people. I was an only child and my dad was obsessed with working on our house to the point where my dad, mom, and I built the house my mom is in now from the ground up. I was always required to be there for whenever my dad needed me, and I could never make plans for fear of pissing him off or my friends for ditching them. When I met my wife, we started dating and things between my dad and I got so bad I finally just left and got a place of my own. I never lived on my own. I lived a life where I always had to be there for everyone else and make sure they got what they needed. It was the same thing with my friends. I only heard from them when they needed to fix something for them. I was always big into cars and I'm really good at it. I was never able to take my talent to its full potential living at my parents' and even after I moved out because I lived in apartments. My wife moved in with me less than a month of me moving out of my parents'. That was fine with me because I loved her and wanted to be with her. We ended up moving again to another apartment until finally we rented a house when we found out she was pregnant with our firstborn. This house had a garage I could work on my car in. I had not had a chance to enjoy my passion for cars in over 3 to 4 years, and I was so excited that I did start spending a lot of time out there. During this time, my wife was going through some depression about her life and how she felt she did nothing with her life besides wasting it. I tried to uplift her as much as I knew how, but I was never very good at it because I was raised in a very non-uplifting family. During this time, I was realizing how I always had to take care of everyone else and I never got the chance to fulfill my needs. That, combined with not being able to fix my wife's depression, put me in a place where I just wanted to escape, if only for a night. When she confronted me about how much time I was spending out in the garage is when the argument broke out that caused me to say that I would rather work in the garage than sit in the house with her. I know that was one of the worst things I could ever say, and there is not a day that I don't wish I could take it back. She held on to that to this day and said it changed her feelings about how I thought about her. As our kids were born and the demand for money became more and more, I went from working in my garage on my own projects to working in the garage to make extra money for my family. All my stuff once again got pushed aside for the more important things. My wife confided in me that she never has confidence in herself, and that's why she required so much from me, and when I wasn't there to give her the confidence she needed, that's when she got depressed and angry. I then asked if she considered her body special, that it was something that a person had to earn the right to share it, and she said no. Before we ever met, she told me she would have a good time out of convenience with guys because that's what she wanted. That, in fact, a lot of her guy friends that she acquired when she was younger, she had slept with once and then they were just friends after that. She told me at one time that she had somewhere between 20 to 30 partners before she met me. She was only 23 when I met her. My number was much lower and I was 25 to 26 years old. I am still just so lost with what to do. Yes, there was maybe some back issues that needed to be addressed, but nothing that couldn't have been fixed and didn't lead to infidelity. Now my image of my wife is destroyed. I have my good days and I have my bad days. Sometimes the simplest things set me off and I get so upset and sick to my stomach. One day I was picking the clothes up off the bed and the sound of her belt flashed an image in my head of her undoing her belt that night of the affair. Then right after that she walked into the room holding the bra she took a picture of herself in and sent to him, and a pair of scissors, telling me to cut it up and take out some aggression, and I just lost it. She said she thought it would help. I just got mad and said I should have to do something like this in the first place, and now you're throwing it in right in my face, and went to sleep. She ended up cutting it up herself and threw it away. She has also forbidden me from hanging out with my friend and his wife across the street, the girl that was with her that second night at the bar when other man was there, because they offered me money for a divorce if that was the only thing keeping me from leaving. She was best friends with this girl for almost 2 years, but once she found out what my wife had done and how my wife tried to get her to vouch for the other man, she was furious and stopped talking to my wife. So, she said I could only hang out with him as long as his wife is not hanging out with us as well. I told her she has no right telling me who I can and can't hang out with now. Day-to-day things is different. We occasionally have a good time, but it's not the same. It's more out of a need than a want on my side. I just hate that I weak like that cause I know I'm probably not helping things and I feel like she's getting the impression things are okay. Then I just blow up about how she ruined anything we had together by giving herself to another man. On a side note, I have been going to the gym and working out and I have already lost 20 pounds. Mostly because I wasn't eating for the first few weeks. The problem now is that she has already started questioning why I was at the gym for almost 2 hours the other night. She is also worried that I'm going to hook up with another girl while I'm in Louisiana for a wedding one weekend. She thinks that's why I have been trying to get into shape. I don't really know what anyone was supposed to get from all this ranting, but feel free to comment on anything. I don't know what I'm doing from one day to the next anymore. She has taken ownership for cheating. She claims that it was due to her lack of confidence in herself and our marriage. She said that she relied on me to give her that confidence, but I didn't because I would rather work in the garage. So, she takes blame for the cheating, but it's my fault for not giving her the confidence to turn away temptation. This is where I get so twisted and pissed off. Can I be the only thing keeping my wife from cheating? Is it not under her control at all? Last night she told me we should work in the garage that night because I haven't been out there in so long. The night consisted of me cleaning and her asking what she could do to help. I have been so distant the last couple days because of an argument we got into 2 nights ago about our issues with spending time together and her lack of confidence in herself. Some things were talked about concerning the night of the affair that has only got me thinking about it again and causing me to shut down. She has noticed it, and last night while lying in bed she slid over and wrapped her arms around me, held me tight until she fell asleep. I know she was making an effort to comfort me, but all I could think was, don't touch me. I'm afraid these feelings are never going to go away, and we are doomed to a divorce. I know it's still early in the game to make any predictions on our outcome, but I just don't know what I want to do. I have 2 weddings coming up in the next month, one being her sister's, and I'm so afraid I'm going to lose it when I see another couple standing where we were 5 years ago, making those vows to each other that didn't hold true. I'm especially afraid for the wedding that I will be at alone in Louisiana. What if I get those same feelings again and I get so upset and angry that I do seek out revenge? I know it would only make things worse and make me no better than her. Okay, I have been in an uncontrollable rage the last few days. Nothing physical, just fuming inside. The last few nights I have lashed out at her for what she has done, and it's always the same story. She's sorry for what she did and she's working on making herself better for me and for us. She said she didn't like the person she became and never wants to be that person again, but I need to be willing to work with her and try to move on. I just can't seem to get past the fact that she cheated on me, especially when she says it's because she had no self-confidence and I wasn't there for her when she needed me. Yesterday I printed out my texts between her and I during the period of the affair, and one of the things I found was the day after the physical acts occurred. She was talking about a long bath she just took while I was at work in the new jacuzzi tub I just installed for her, and how she was feeling wanting me. I don't really see any remorse for what she did the night before. I actually had bonded with her that day twice. Makes me sick thinking about it. The worst thing is from that day on she was more interested in me more than she had been in a long time. Almost every day for 2 weeks. I also found a picture message she sent me of her that turned out to be the same picture she sent the OM. I also found out from the phone records that she sent it to me an hour after she sent it to the OM. She's telling me I need to quit digging in the past because it's only fueling my anger and I will never move on. It's probably true because I don't feel like I want to move on with her. Why should I become a better man for her after what she did? So, she gets the man she's always wanted and all I get is a WW. If I do change and become the person she wants me to be, then she can say that her cheating was the best thing that could have happened. Then if something else comes up that she wants me to fix or I go back to my old ways, that she will cheat again. I have been telling her for the last 3 days that I'm done and I don't want to be with her. She keeps begging me to stay and that she is on the road to a better person. She also said it sucks that she is going to become this amazing person and I won't be around to see. I just feel like she crossed a line that there is no coming back from, and I don't want to wait and see if things get better. I'm 33 years old and this happened not even 5 years into our marriage. What's going to happen in another 5 years when I'm close to 40 and this happens again? At least now I still have the option of starting over. We are both still going to IC. She said it's doing wonders for her, but for me it just makes me angrier and all the emotions come bubbling back up. I am just so ready to go for the D and start over. We are still struggling right now, but she has taken the effort to start shopping more wisely for groceries. She hasn't been going out at all and going to church stuff more. Last said it was my youngest boy's birthday. He's 2. We had a small backyard party with a few friends and I put everything aside for him that day. I had a lot of fun playing with all the kids and talking with friends. After the day was done and the boys were in bed, we sat outside and talked about some things. Mostly about how I didn't want to do this anymore. I wanted to leave so bad, but after seeing how much fun we all had that day, that I knew if we were to get a divorce that things would never be like that again. She has been reading the 5 languages of love and I forwarded the WS checklist from the site to her. She told me that she has been doing all the things on the list, I just haven't noticed in my rage. I feel she is trying to fix things, but I just don't want to recognize them or I'm just numb to the whole situation. Still in the too little too late phase, and I feel like I will never regain any respect for my wife. She told me that there will be no more anything physical until I can stop treating her like a piece of meat and that there is some emotion behind it. I haven't said I love you since I found out what happened. I used to give her a kiss every morning before I went to work, and now it's just see you later. We still sleep in the same bed, but there is always a huge gap between us. One night she scooted over and held me, but I didn't know how to respond. Yesterday I kissed her and it was not the same. It's like everything I had for her is gone, and I don't know how to get through what happened and start to heal. I have been going to church every weekend and even thought about volunteering for a daddy-daughter dance they are having, but I will be out of town. She has been going to Bible study on Wednesdays, which she has never done before. I never really grew up going to church. I always felt there was someone up there looking over me, but never really understood it. Now as all of this is unfolding, I feel the faith that I was starting to acquire over the last 5 years going with my wife has vanished. I want to support my and her going back to church, but I feel that I have just been let down too many times to continue to go. When I first started to suspect things were going on, I prayed and I asked for a sign that I was wrong about what I thought my wife was doing. Little did I know the sign I would receive is the one that showed me my wife was cheating. That just turned me right off of my faith. Why, God, why are you putting me through this a third time, and why did it have to be my wife? The other 2 times I was cheated on were only girlfriends, and it was easy to just walk away. I need to get away for a few days, but I am so broke right now that I can't even afford the gas to go anywhere. We have her sister's wedding in 2 weeks and then the wedding in Louisiana the week after that. That will probably be my only chance to get away by myself, and of course it's to a wedding. From what I get from her, she is denying me because she feels like a piece of crap with the way I treat her. She basically says if she wants to heal and be able to have respect for herself, she can't do that with the way I say it's not bonding right now. I haven't felt the same when we have had tried anything. There is no emotion involved with it right now. It's just so I can feel something again that feels good. I will start to desire her less and less until there is nothing. I can already feel it happening, especially now that she has stopped going to the gym. She has been gaining weight at a rapid pace while I have been getting into the best shape I have been in a long time. It hurts so bad to think that now that her affair is over that she doesn't feel the need to keep up her appearance for me. That would have been a sign to me that she was trying, but now it's like I just get what's left over. A broken woman. We have gone down this road before. We get into a huge fight over something and the other person vows to change, and it lasts for a few weeks to a month, and then things slowly go back to where they were. I feel like we are in the honeymoon stage of her and it will eventually go back to old habits again. Well, yesterday was a bad day. On my way to meet my WW at the doctor's, I was stopped at a light and I happened to look over, and there at the gas station was the other man putting gas in his car. My heart immediately dropped and I felt sick. Just looking at him brought everything back full force. I noticed him look up and I know he had to see me. My truck sticks out, plus he knows it pretty well. As I pulled away, I could just feel that he was laughing at me. As we were leaving the doctor's, she could tell something was wrong and she asked what's up. I told her that I had seen him on the way there. She asked, on purpose. I told her no, I don't ever want to see him again, why I would go looking to him. It's just that he lives so close it's hard not to run into him. She asked if there was anything she could do to help and I said no. Later when we got home, she asked again if there was anything she could do and I told her there is nothing she could do to fix the feeling I had. I told her it felt like someone ripped my balls off. I went and changed and she was starting to make dinner and asked if I wanted to take out some anger pounding the chicken she was making. I said no and that I was going to take my anger out on my truck in the garage. After dinner and when the boys went to bed, she came out to the garage and asked if I needed any help. I told her no, not because I didn't want her help but because I really didn't have anything for her to do. She came back out a few more times asking again, but the answer was still no. I feel that each day I'm drifting further from her and my desire to fix things is getting less. I just don't want to be around her. Looking at her is painful and all I can keep thinking is how could you do this to someone that you say you love? I had a few friends that had cheating spouses and I always told her and myself that I was so glad that I never had to worry about something like that. She would respond with, "We make a pretty good team." All I ever did was try to give my family the best life I could provide for them, and I feel like she is just working against me. I have my IC today and I don't even know what to talk to her about besides the fact that I just want to take my boys and never see her again. Some good news today. The wife is in full R mode. Last night we sat down and she described the affair from start to finish. Even the very hard details about the night of the pee, she admitted that it was all on her and that she should not have drank as much as she did that night. Apparently, he tried to kiss her earlier that night but that turned him away, so he just kept feeding her drinks. She told him that could never happen again the days after, but he wouldn't stop with the physical suggestion and asking for it again. He would text her during class trying to get her to go to the bar again to get drunk. A week or two later is when she went to the bar with a girlfriend that he ended up showing up at. After her friend left, he tried to lure her inside his truck again because he wanted more from her, and she said absolutely not. Never again. I asked why she continued to talk to him even though he didn't lay off. She said she was afraid I would suspect something if she just all of a sudden stopped talking to him. Plus, she actually thought if she could get him to stop. She said in a sick way, I thought we could have all just been friends because he was so much like me. He worked on cars like me and was interested in the same stuff I was. She said looking back now I knew it would never have worked. She said the only time she used physical favors towards him was the night the VAR was in the car. She said she only said those things to get him to come over and meet me and hoped it would hit home to him that she was married, and that's why she couldn't ever do those things again and he would lay off and just become friends. She said I knew that's what he wanted from me and he would do anything to get her to pleasure him again. He was too afraid of me to come over without motivation. She said she never planned on following through with anything, just like she didn't from the night of the affair and on. I asked what if he didn't stop. Then she said she would send me after him for harassing her after she came clean about what had happened. I can see how my wife lost her inhibitions when she was drunk because she has done it with me as well. She has done things with me while she was drunk that she would never even consider sober. I just have a hard time believing everything after the affair because I knew if she was to break it off from him the first time it caused a fight in our relationship, which was the night of the affair, that I wouldn't have been suspicious. I would have been happy that she did it to help our marriage. So how much do I take for the truth and what's BS? She has been very open with my questions. There has been absolutely no contact with him since I found everything out. She gave me all her passwords and account info. She has told her mom and plans to tell our pastor once we have developed a better feel for our new church that's close to home. She is even going to Bible study on Wednesdays. She said she will never go to the bar without me except when she goes out with female friends that I trust. No more male friends, period, and we will only develop relationships with couples our own age. No more delegating texts, and I can check them with the bill to make sure they add up. When she goes back to school, she will be on the phone with me from the time she leaves the driveway to the time she walks in the door to class, and the same after class. I can track her on the iPhone as much as I want, and she can't go out unless her phone is charged, so I don't get the "my phone is drained" excuse. She said she is willing to do anything to regain my trust, and she really feels she's on the right path to being a better person for herself and for us. If I choose to stay, we have talked a lot the last few days and found out more about each other than we ever knew. I wish we could have talked like this before because maybe we could have seen this coming and stopped it. I'm still afraid that I will never be able to let go of the past, but I guess it's just something you have to wait and find out. I called her out on it yesterday and she broke down crying, saying that she knows her reason for not stopping it so we could all eventually become friends was completely illogical, and she knows that now. She kept saying that she was so messed up during the month that things were going on and that I really shouldn't quote her on things she said that night of the affair because after a certain point she was so wasted that she doesn't really remember a whole lot, but she was trying to aid in my questioning. She said it was a side of her that she has never seen before and never wants to see again. I asked her if she was so sure about that, would you be willing to sign a contract stating that if anything like this ever happens again that you release full custody of our kids to me and we get a divorce. I knew that was the only real thing she cared about losing. She told me yes, that's how much she plans to change. She told me she never wanted to hurt me like this and she's willing to do anything to make it up to me and regain my trust. She really hasn't been like this with me in the past. I knew her past was pretty wild and she was very loyal to me. After the kids, things changed. She was unhappy all the time, no confidence in herself, and I was working all the time. She got on this medication and even I noticed she wasn't the same person, but I was happy she was happy again. I think the medication only covered up the real problem and they were always there. Now her medication has been upped and she is also now on Abilify. I found out recently from her mom that depression runs in the family and it's been so serious that there have been a few talks about suicide. She told me that when she was talking to my wife on the phone after everything came out that she sounded just like her aunt who had talked about X herself. With the things she was saying about not being able to go on knowing what she did. I'm just so confused and I keep going back to she was just being a bee. But then I'm like, what if things were really that screwed up for her? I don't know the truth from a hole in the wall right now and I'm just so drained from living in limbo. I know everything is still fresh, but I'm just so impatient and I just need something to happen. And soon. My comment. Although I think the wife is rewriting history, if she is willing to sign a contract about the custody, it might be the first step towards rebuilding the relationship. I just feel this is really troublesome for both sides. He needs to make that choice. Not us. Would you take back your partner if they signed a contract like that in the end? Comment down below, sub and bell, and hope you guys enjoyed this slightly longer